All right. I think we are back. Are we live on Facebook? Okay. Hi, guys. What's up? Good evening. Testing. One, two. Okay. Hi, guys. What's up? Okay, we are coming out clear. Wherever you're watching, do the needful, guys. Let's do it. It is very, very interesting day today. Very, very interesting day. There are many things that I have actually seen. Those are very surprising, but we have to do something. All right, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Where are you watching from? I greet you according to your time zone. You're watching on YouTube. Are you watching on Facebook? Wherever you're watching from, I greet you. So today we are going to talk about why the judge of the appeal court, of the Federal High Court, why are they always going back on their words? That's one thing. Why are they always going back on their words? Don't forget this news that is in front of my screen. We're going to talk about the news in front of my screen. Now we are going to talk about the way the judge of Federal High Court is playing games. Secondly, what are we intending to achieve with Nnamdi Kanu filing the stay of execution by the appeal court with the appeal court, or to stop the judgment that Judge Omotoshe has actually planned to deliver on the 20th of 20th of August, right? No, November, 20th of November. So we are looking into two things. One is Nnamdi Kanu's case. Secondly is the genocide against Christian in Nigeria, because the US, they are still on it. They are still on it. So we are going to talk about that first before we go into the case, because we're going to use a brief time to talk about it. We only have like 60 minutes to round up all that we are going to discuss today. So there is a news which I found that talks about the US. Let's actually check that news out first before we proceed. It is very, very important. Let's read and see what is there in that news. It's about the US launching investigation. Let me read that news a little bit before we proceed, actually. So it says that the US Congress launches sweeping investigation into Nigeria's alleged Christian genocide. So it is still on. You know, many people are doing whatever they want to do. People were trying to do what they feel like will stop this clamor for people to be free, for the genocide to stop in Nigeria, people are bringing all sort of trending, nonsense that they want to use to replace the trend about people dying in Nigeria, about Christian being unalive in Nigeria. So those trends cannot supersede this, because this is about the life of innocent people that we are talking about. People are dying without any, cause. They never look for anybody's trouble. They just sit in their homes. And these murderous terrorists, they will just go into their homes, unalive them, take over their stuff, take over everything that belongs to these people, load it in their back, in their pickup, and they make a move. That is a genocide going on in Nigeria. And don't forget, during the 2020, before 2020, this genocide was extended to the eastern part of Nigeria during the time that the man in Aso Rock was leading Nigeria. The time Nigeria was on autopilot, we experienced this genocide firsthand in the eastern Nigeria, because every terrorist that was caught in the northern part of Nigeria, Buhari or the imposter in Aso Rock will always bundle them and integrate them into the Nigerian military, and they will go to eastern part of Nigeria and they will start wreaking havoc. They will start shooting. They go into a community. They will shoot sporadically. It doesn't matter whether it is children that are going to be unalive. It is not a problem to these people. What they look for is to make sure that they unalive people that are predominantly Christians. Buhari did it, and we know that Buhari administration was when Boko Haram, before Goodluck Jonathan, was when Boko Haram gained ground in Nigeria. Fulani terrorists now came in. It is still Boko Haram, but they disguise themselves, because Obadiah Maalafia told us that they are going to disguise. It is still Boko Haram. They are going to disguise themselves in the name that they are Boko bandits or headers. That's why they keep on calling it farmer header clash. Before they unalive Obadiah, he made open all these things. So the reason why I'm taking you back to it is for you to know that it is not about the genocide going on against the Hausa people or the Christians amongst them. Because is there a genocide in Nigeria? We know 100% that there is a genocide against the Hausa people. Mostly the Christians amongst them. To an extent that some of them might even start dressing like a Muslim. Some of their women will start wearing a burki. Is it burki? Or those things they wear on their faces. Christians in the northern Nigeria, just for them to escape the prosecution or the killing. We are talking about what's going on in the north. They claim that they are fighting this insurgency. And what happened in Kebbi State a few hours ago? Kebbi State, 25 girls was actually taken. 25 girls. And deputy principal of the school where they have taken these 25 girls, they unalived him. They unalived the deputy principal. Who knows where the deputy principal came from? It could be a Yoruba. It could be Igbo. You don't know who is the deputy principal. Those are the things, the reason why we continue to, cry about this genocide going on in Nigeria. It is because we don't know who it is going to meet tomorrow. We don't know. It is just our lives is unpredictable. That's exactly the reason why we need to take the call to stop the genocide seriously. You don't know who is going to meet. Who is the deputy principal? Nobody knows. Who are these 4 girls that has been taken from school in Kebbi State. Nobody knows whose family it is. That is exactly what is going on in Nigeria. They want to cover it up. They want to cover it up. That's why they were proactive, telling us that there was no genocide, when we know very well that the people who are experiencing it firsthand are coming out to speak. This is not just about we talking about it. It is not about us. It is not about we. It's about the people who are experiencing this thing coming out to speak. And most of the places where you see this genocide is going on is places you find Christians, areas that are predominantly Christians. Why is that? Because I heard the chairperson of the African Union claiming that the first victim of Boko Haram in Nigeria was a Muslim. How does he know that? He is living in Djibouti. People on the ground who are feeling the scourge, you are now telling the people what they are seeing. A Fulani man came out to say that there is a genocide going on in Nigeria. A Fulani man, a good Fulani man, came out to say that there is a genocide going on in Nigeria. That Nigeria does not want to be honest with themselves. He also said that why can't the government treat the terrorist like a terrorist? We heard him. We heard him for the sake of what is going on. I don't want to play any of this video, but those things, I have made a video with it. It's on my page. In case if you want to watch it, it is on my page, where a Fulani man wake up and say that he confessed that there is a genocide, and he said that it is done by his people, and he is tired of the name, the bad name, and the, that is being given to him wherever he goes. He's tired of hearing about Fulani and their behavior. That's why he had to come clean. So Nigeria is downplaying it. But let us read, because people will continue to die whilst Nigeria continue to downplay the ordeal. This is the things happening in real life. It is not a movie. That's why we are telling the chairperson of the African Union, you shouldn't say because the first victim of Boko Haram was a Christian, therefore, was a Muslim, therefore, there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. There are Christian genocide in Nigeria. It is happening. It is real. We cannot hide it. Now, the United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa will convene a public hearing on Thursday, November 20th. Did you hear that? Do you know why I laugh? November 20th. That's when they are convening. Do you know why I am laughing? I am laughing because we know what November 20th is. Because remember, they shifted Nnamdi Kanu's case from to November 20th, hoping that they will know the outcome of Donald Trump threat of military action, or the outcome of the U.S. investigation or U.S. threat against Nigeria for human rights violation and the genocide against the Christian. They put up the judgment to 20th of November. Now, what is going on? The investigation is commencing, right? The investigation is commencing on the 20th of November. The United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa will convene a public hearing on Thursday, November 20, 2025, to review President Donald Trump's recent move to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. If upheld by the Senate, the CPC level would open the door for Washington to impose sanctions on Nigerian officials implicated in religious repression and place limits on certain categories of U.S. Nigeria corporation. Did you hear that? Now let's continue to read. Interesting. The session set for 11 a.m. in room 2172 of the Rebon House office building and streamed online. Will be led by Representative Chris Smith, RNJ. Two witness panels featuring senior State Department officials and Nigeria faith leaders are expected to provide testimonies. Damn, it's making sense. An invitation circulated to members of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs read, "You are respectfully requested to attend an open hearing of the Committee on Foreign Affairs to be held by the Subcommittee on Africa at 11 a.m. in room 2172 of the Rebon House office building. Confirmed panelists include Jonathan Pratt, Senior Bureau Official of African Affairs, and Jacob McGee, Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor. The second panel will include Nina Shia of the Center for Religious Freedom, Bishop Wilfred and Anna Anabwe of the Makurdi Catholic Diocese, and Oge Onubogu of the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Lawmakers are expected to assess pattern of religious persecution in Nigeria and weigh potential U.S. responses, from humanitarian support to punitive sanctions and deeper engagement with Abuja to curb spiraling violence. President Trump had on October 31st, 2025, redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, triggering widespread debate over rising attacks on Christian communities. He attributed the decision to what he described as grave violation of religious liberty and the mass killing of Christians by extremist group. He warned that the United States would respond decisively, including the possibility of military action if Nigeria failed to stop the alleged atrocities. If the Nigeria government continued to allow the killing of Christians, the U.S. will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamist terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet. Just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians, he said on November 1. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu rejects the claim, saying they represented Nigeria religious environment. Nigeria stands firmly as a democracy governed by constitutional guarantees of religious liberty. Now, let's look into Nigeria stands firmly, or Nigeria, where is it? Nigeria stands firmly as a democracy governed by constitutional guarantees of religious liberty. The characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality. Let's find out whether it is true. Because in 20, when was that? In 20, we have some evidence here. Some evidence dating from 2022, 2020. Now, because before they will start lying about it, I want you to see this. Read it yourself. Before they start their lies, remember, I am going to read it for you. Check the date. Do you see the date? Now, let me read it for you. It is on the 6th of February 2017. 6th of February 2017. That's when Nigeria not was place for Christians to live. Lai Mohammed. That's what Lai Mohammed said. He said Nigeria is not a worse place for Christians to live. 2017. Now let's fast forward to 2022. It is going to be the same Lai Mohammed. Let's find out what Lai Mohammed said in 2022. Is it 2022? Let's find out. I'm going to give you two different videos where Lai Mohammed said what he said about the Christian genocide.
Extremism. And extremism could come in form of what he is facing today is extremism. And extremism could come in form of political view or religious view. And in most cases,
I cannot bring it. I could bring it in front of your screen, but for the sake of all this, porting, I won't. You will hear it. Now let's listen to it.
what he is facing today is extremism. And extremism could come in form of political view or religious view. And in most cases, one overlaps the other. For those of us, those of you, all of us, right, familiar with the Boko Haram insurgency, it's basically intolerance, all and extremism on the part of some zealots who believe that other adherents of other religions are inferior. And this
It is an intolerant. Those who believe that the other religions are inferior. This is a Muslim person speaking. Remember, he started, talking about it in 2017 that Nigeria is not a worse place for Christians to live because they already perceiving the persecution against Christians. When the clamor started actually gaining traction, they claim that Nigeria is not a worse place for Christians to live. But now, fast forward to 2020. When he made this video, he said that there is intolerance from those who believe that their religion is superior to the others. This is a Muslim man talking. Lai Mohammed is a Muslim, right? He's not a Christian, or is he? Maybe I'm mistaken. Correct me, please. Let's hear it again before we go to fast forward to 2022.
intolerance, all and extremism on the part of some zealots who believe that other adherents of other religions are inferior. And this is why I think I find unique about my community.
he found unique about his community because his own community is not playing by those who are seeing other religion as inferior, because he's a Yoruba man. So I don't know how they did it in Yoruba land, because Yoruba Muslims, they are not like these people in the north, the Fulanis. They are different. So that's why he made reference of his community, which is a Yoruba community. Now, when we talk about the northern Nigeria, we are talking about religious extremists, which is led by Fulani. Now let's fast forward to 2022 from the same person. Remember, he worked under Buhari's administration. It was the APC. Now let's fast forward to 2022. All right.
But in the wake of a renewed onslaught by tireless military against Boko Haram and their ISWAP allies in recent times, the insurgents have apparently changed their strategy. They have started targeting Christians and Christian villages for a specific reason, which is to trigger a religious war and throw the nation into chaos. Apparently, they have realized how emotive and divisive
they have strategized to trigger a religious war. That is what Lai Mohammed said, that the criminals, the terrorists, they re-strategized. Remember, from 2017, this clamor started. Then he downplayed it and claiming to the international communities that Nigeria is not a worse place for a Christian to be. Fast forward to 2020, he said that there are people who believe that their religious is superior and others are inferior. But his communities, they are not. That's why what he loves about his community, his Muslim communities, because they are Yoruba Muslim community, they are not extremists like the Fulanis. So 2022, he now confirmed it that there is a target against the Christian communities in Nigeria. Under Buhari's administration, he was. Now, fast forward to 2025, new administration under the same APC. Remember that APC was the organization who chose to adopt Muslim ticket, and the only reason why they adopted Muslim ticket is the plan to Islamize the whole country. Remember, El-Rufai made it mention of it. That's why he was indicted, because he made mention of it that Muslim ticket is not just about, it's not accident. And I believe I have that video here, that it is going to continue, because the rest of them, there is no way they are going to allow any Christian to be in power again. Then Gumi now said, we cannot allow those who are going to buy guns and buy our people, our children and our relatives in the forest. Gumi also said that those who are in the forest, which are the terrorists, all these videos, most of these videos, especially this one I'm talking about, it is in my page, that those of these people who are in the forest, that they are more committed Muslim. Those who are in the forest killing Christians, killing people, that they are more committed to Islam than those who are living in the town. Gumi said that terrorists in the bush are committed to Islam more than the ones who are living in the town, because they allow Allah's mercy is on them. That's why they are succeeding, prospering. That's what Gumi said. It's also on my page. Now, you have heard it, all the lies, manipulations, and everything they want to call it, that there is no genocide going on against the Christian communities in Nigeria. That is a lie. That's why I have called, we are calling on the president of Djibouti to retract that statement of saying that the first attack was meted on Islam or a Muslim by Boko Haram. That does not actually, Boko Haram started as far back as 2002 or something thereabout. The presidents or the head of states during those times did not tolerate those nonsense. They actually make sure that they quell the attack of Boko Haram. Fast forward to 2012, when Buhari wanted to be the president of Nigeria, Boko Haram started again because Buhari himself is a Boko Haram. He was a Boko Haram. So that's when Boko Haram started gaining, momentum again. Till this day, we know this guy. We know him. This man is the, second citizen of Nigeria today. The most deadliest, terrorist was found in his house. Everyone knows about it. And that same deadliest terrorist was released from jail in 2020. I think 2020 or 2021. And I made a video in 2021 about it. They made it in secret that somebody, Sokoto, was released from Nigeria prison in 2021. And I made a video about it in 2021. During the time they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya. That was during that time that guy was released from prison. The same man that was found with your vice president in your vice president's house. That same man was the most dangerous terrorist that bombed people. Yet, that is Nigeria for you. Now, let's listen to this woman. I don't want this to take so long, but because there is a lot. There are a lot. Now, listen to this woman, Northern woman. And he was in the previous APC government under Buhari's administration. So listen to her. She also exposed it. That is the woman. You all know her. Now, terrorist Kabiru Sokoto. Now, that was Kabiru Sokoto. Confirm it from their sister there. Confirm it.
It concerns security. You must have an enabling environment in order to do anything. So you cannot take someone that is virtually senile and another person that has been associated on several occasions with funding terrorism. That is Kasim Shatima. Kashim Shatima, we should not forget Kabiru Sokoto. Kabiru Sokoto was one of the most wanted terrorists, and he was found and arrested in his house. Let us understand and let us not forget this terrorism, this banditry, this carnage is not just happening by mistake. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. A multi-billion-dollar industry because it takes a lot of money on defense budget.
Okay.
It has a lot to do with the sale of drugs. It has a lot to do with mining and illegal bunkering and illegal and illicit mining. And look at the areas that are generally affected by this. Take the Northeast, for instance. In the Northeast, you have the blue diamond. That is a strategic mineral.
Chinese are there.
You have oil at the Chad Basin that is being explored right now, but illegally. You have Zamfara. If you go to Zamfara, Zamfara has more gold than Ghana. Zamfara's gold is being traded in Dubai and other parts of the country. There is a market called Nigerian gold in Dubai. Go and check. So who is doing this mining? Most times they are the governors, the people in power. They are the ones doing it in connivance with foreign mercenaries. Can you remember? Have we forgotten when they said there is a no-fly zone in Zamfara? Why should there be a no-fly zone? There isn't even an airport in Zamfara, but aircrafts land and they take off from Zamfara. And let me tell you something else. In Zamfara, every container that comes from China ends up in Zamfara. Wow. You know why? Because in Zamfara, the soil in Zamfara has all the strategic minerals that you can think of. So when the containers come in from China, they land they end in Zamfara, and a bag of Zamfara soil is today sold at 5,000. So they need to displace the people to allow them to continue with their mining. I mean, it's multifaceted. And these are people that one has been severally accused of harboring terrorists, even recently. And why? Let us ask, why should Shatima be visiting, along with his governor, be visiting and making a solidarity with a police officer that was being tried for drug trafficking? Why? So you begin to put these things together and you begin to understand.
Did you remember Abba Kyari? They call him the super cop. That's what they called him, the super cop. Hi, Nigeria. This is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, let me finish what I was reading. Let me conclude it. Now, that is exactly what was happening in Nigeria. Now, really more in a Fox News interview said, we've already started that investigation. We are going to get to the bottom of this. He argued that Christian death in Nigeria far outnumbered those of other religious groups, claiming a ratio of 5-1. 5-1. And they're telling us there is no genocide. And the president of Djibouti is coming to tell us what is happening in Nigeria when he cannot even fix Djibouti. Responding to Tinubu rebuttal, he said, unfortunately, that is completely false. There is a serious prosecution happening in Nigeria on whether America should intervene. Moore insisted the U.S. had a moral obligation, adding that the CPC designation empowers the president to deploy sanctions, block development funds, and consider military kinetics. Pope Leo the what? I don't know. Pope Leo expressed dismay over attacks targeting Christians in Nigeria and other countries, week after Trump's threats of military intervention. In various parts of the world, Christians suffer discrimination and persecution. I think especially of Bangladesh, Nigeria, Mozambique, Sudan, and other countries from which we frequently hear attacks on communities and places of worship, he wrote on X. He prayed for victims of recent massacre in the Democratic Republic of Congo, etc. So let us move on from this. and we go into what is going on in the Federal High Court. But believe me, there has been an investigation, ongoing investigation prior to the time President Trump announced that there will be a military intervention in Nigeria. There has been an ongoing investigation by the US, in Nigeria, but the the spy web or whatever it's up there into our space has been investigating what's going on there. Satellite images are picking up everything that is going up down there in Nigeria. So there is no way to escape. It is just up to them to come clean. If if Tinubu is not complicit, he should be ready to give up all his cabinet members who are complicit and who are involved with the ordeal on Christian attack or ordeal of against Christians in Nigeria. That's the only thing he could do for himself. Instead of claiming there is nothing happening, there is something happening, and we know it, he knows it, everyone knows it. Now, let's fast forward to Nnamdi Kanu's case. Are you aware that Nnamdi Kanu's judgment day will not hold on the 20th of November? Even if the appeal court intervention did not come prior or before then, there will be no judgment on the 20th of November, because remember that what they are doing is just to buy time, trying to see what can we do, because they know, first of all, Nigeria has no jurisdiction over the matter concerning Nnamdi Kanu. We know that because the charges that they leveled against Nnamdi Kanu was transmitter, importation of radio transmitter. That is the charges they leveled against him. And then inciting violence and killings in the country's southeast region through his broadcast via Radio Biafra. Now, if you think about this claim by the Nigeria government, you will find out that whoever that was filing this claim is not actually, okay. Because let me read those three charges that they are holding so dearly to themselves, which is Nigeria government, which is leading a separatist movement, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, to demand secession of a part of Nigeria, inciting violence and killing in this country, southeast region, through his broadcast via Radio Biafra, illegal importing of radio transmitter. That is exactly, the things that they are claiming that Nnamdi Kanu committed, which led to the charging of terrorism, because of these two things. Now, number one, leading a separatist movement, indigenous people of Biafra. Number one is that there is a Nigeria constitution itself. Nigeria constitution itself has it in its constitution, section 40 and 41, that grants you the right to freedom of movement and freedom of, what do you call it? Peaceful gathering. Nigeria constitution, peaceful gathering. So, having a separatist movement, it is an organization well registered in UK amongst other nations, other countries. Now let's bring it to the context. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Nnamdi Kanu, covers Nnamdi Kanu, which was written under Geneva's Convention, covers Nnamdi Kanu for leading a movement, whether they call it separatist or whatever movement it is, it covers Nnamdi Kanu because it is within the right of Nnamdi Kanu to lead a movement, whether they want to succeed from Nigeria or not. There is, a reason. The violation of human rights that is going on all over the place, and the prosecution of the Igbos that is going on in Nigeria prior to the time of no victor, no vanquish. It is still going on even until date. The Christians, the predominantly Christian communities that are Igbos, and Judaism communities, which Nnamdi Kanu is part of that cycle of Judaism, are being prosecuted right from the time of Buhari. So why do you think a person will not start a separation from Nigeria? Because Buhari was the same person who said that we Biafrans are like a dot in a circle. A dot in a circle, he mean in the context that we are surrounded, that they can just, take us away from existence at any given time. That was what, Buhari said. And when you actually organize yourselves to now demand for them to give you, access, to leave them alone so that they will live their lives. Since you are not wanted as a Nigerian, since every animals are animals in Nigeria, but there are animals who are more superior, who are more important than the other animals, what do you do? The best thing he was going to do, which was recognized under Geneva's Convention, is to separate from Nigeria, right to self-determination. And for self-determination, that you will bring people of like minds together in order to pursue your dream or your ideology. That is self-determination. As long as it is peaceful, and it has been peaceful until Buhari started unaliving people, unaliving innocent people, sending their terrorists into Biafra land to unalive people, sending the Fulani terrorists into the bushes to unalive people. Under APC, Nnamdi Kanu established and made use of what is written in Nigeria Constitution, right to life. Right to life is recognized in Nigeria Constitution. Nnamdi Kanu decided that we have right to life. We cannot live and watch these people coming up to kill us on the basis that we are Christians predominantly, we are Judaism, and they are Muslim. And they named us a dot in a circle. So there is a right to life. You need to activate that whenever that a danger is coming. That's when you recognize your right to life. He established security to protect the oppressed people, the persecuted people. Then the same Buhari, having seen that he put a measure in place to make sure he curbed the menace of all these mercenary terrorists that are all over the bushes, unaliving Christian. Nnamdi Kanu was putting a stop to it. They moved swiftly to go and kidnap him in Kenya. Now, if Nnamdi Kanu made a Radio Biafra broadcast that was done in Britain. That's where the issue of jurisdiction now comes in. They claim he made a broadcast that incited violence in Nigeria. Now you question the jurisdiction that Nigeria have to talk about the broadcast that was not made in Nigeria. That is number one. Question the jurisdiction, because that's where the issue of jurisdiction comes in. Does Nigeria have right or jurisdiction to try or scrutinize a broadcast that was not done in Nigeria? It is not done. It does not have right to do so. And now, Nnamdi Kanu, wherever he did those broadcasts, if he was committing a crime, he was going to be apprehended by the country themselves, because even Nigeria law is influenced by the Roman Statutes, which governs mostly the international laws, governs mostly the European laws. So why would Nigeria go to that mile to try a case that it has no jurisdiction over? And that is the reason why you see Nnamdi Kanu, screaming in the court. Because now the judge himself, or Motoshe, decided not to rule about the issue on the issue of jurisdiction. He decided not to rule on it. He decided not to rule on the repealed, law that was actually, brought up. That's why Nnamdi Kanu was asking Judge Omotoshe, show me the act of the Constitution that I have contravened. Show me where I have actually, show me which law I have actually, violated. Then I will stand a defense. They could not show him, because you cannot basically tell someone that they have committed a crime, but you cannot tell them the crime that they have committed, and you want them to enter defense. How can someone enter into a defense when they have not knowledge of what they did? You can't just come to me and say you need to enter defense. What did I do? You stole. What did I steal? I found something on the ground, I pick it up. Okay, I did. If you say I found something on the ground, I picked it up, and you call it stealing, show me in your constitution where the constitution says that if I pick something on the ground and it is against the law. Now show me your constitution. It is not embedded in the constitution. Therefore, a law that is not written cannot be violated. So that is the claim. And the judge Omotoshe, who is supposed to be a competent judge, a learned judge, that for him to handle this high-profile case of such magnitude, he was supposed to be a learned judge. And he is not supposed to make any mistake, because if you assume that it was a mistake that he is making, trying to overrule the issue of jurisdiction and the issue of the repealed law of 2022 or 2023 on terrorism. So now, what law is Nnamdi Kanu violated, or has he violated, that he need to defend himself against? None. Now, let's see. Nnamdi Kanu went to appeal court to stop the jungle justice that was planned to hand out on the 20th of November. Now, what are the things that appeal court can do for Nnamdi Kanu. Appeal court will aim to stay execution so that they will not hand in the judgment. Remember, the reason why Nnamdi Kanu went to appeal court to stop that judgment is because Nnamdi Kanu, from understanding the way the judge was handling the case by refusing to entertain the issue of jurisdiction, number one, refusing to make mention what law has he violated, shows that the judge is already biased. And everything the judge was planning against him has already been premeditated. Therefore, he has to be proactive in finding a way to stop that 20th judgment of 20th of November, because he perceived a foul. He perceived the jungle justice. So if the appeal court is to make a pronouncement, it is just to stay execution. For court not to deliver that judgment, it is not going to affect the court proceeding, because the only reason why that will stand is because there are errors in the court proceedings. There are procedural errors which has been, perceived on the side of the judge. The judge could be biased. But now, is it calling for recusal of the judge? Might be late already, because the case has gotten to this point. So I don't know if it is possible to call for the recusal of the judge, which is going to continue to prolong this case, because having seen the path where this case is going, the judge is already biased. That means that is the reason why Nnamdi Kanu had to be proactive to go to appeal court to stop the judgment, so that on the basis of procedural error, that's what it is. Now it will give him more time now to fight those procedural error, or to highlight them, such as the court must rule on the issue of jurisdiction, and the court must actually show Nnamdi Kanu what law he has contravened, so that if he is going to stand, defense, he will do, stand defense. The reason why Nnamdi Kanu has to drop the lawyers, one of the reasons I perceived, I'm not sure, but one of the reasons could be Nnamdi Kanu, lawyer or no lawyer, everything has been presented. Cross-examination, the judge does not want to entertain those evidence that can, set Nnamdi Kanu free. The judge does not want to entertain every area of these proceedings that will enable Nnamdi Kanu to win the case against the federal government. The judge is sweeping all of them under the carpet, because they had already planned, had a premeditated judgment that they wanted to hand out. That's why they don't want to entertain. That is a procedural error. And I know 100% that appeal court will grant Nnamdi Kanu his request, because the presentation we see in the court and all the issues raised bordering on jurisdiction, bordering on repeal, law or act, terrorism act, repealed in 2023 or 2022. Bordering on that, those are very, very essential, areas that the judge, who is learned and competent and unbiased, supposed to deal with. There is always a trial within a trial where the judge will pause the original case and say, let us now get into a trial within a trial to ascertain whether or not the issue of jurisdiction is valid, to ascertain whether or not we can move on with the original case. But the judge does not entertain that. That is procedural error. That's what it is called. It is worse than that if we want to analyze it, but it is worse than that. But that's what we can call it, procedural error. Evidences that was given in court, they are not admissible. The court or the judge, I don't know whether he investigated the admissibility of those evidence or the testimonies, because I don't think there is any material evidence presented in court. So the judge is less concerned about the procedure of that court. That's why Nnamdi Kanu was so mad the other day. And then, if Nnamdi Kanu can stop the judgment, which the judgment is not going to hold, it is not going to hold. But the reason why they decided to put that judgment on the 20th of November is to give them more time to articulate, give them more time to, because they believe that by that time, maybe the issue of Donald Trump and Christian genocide and all that will be decided. What is the plan? What is going to happen? Now, on top of that, again, they know that they are not going to pass a jungle justice because Nnamdi Kanu has already exposed them. That's why Nnamdi Kanu had to drop his lawyers to expose these people, because a lawyer cannot expose these. It is not within the ethics expected from a professional lawyer in Nigeria, which was granted license by the Nigeria Bar Association to tell the court that you do not know law. It has to come from Nnamdi Kanu. It has nothing to lose. So that truth needs to be spoken, because the lawyers, even the San, knows that there is a jungle justice going on there. That's why the San said that there is no case submission, filed a no case submission. He knows. So when that failed, the only way we can get to the knowledge to hear what is going on is by Nnamdi Kanu taking a stand to defend himself. That's how we were able to hear exactly what's going on inside that courtroom. Otherwise, we were not going to hear it, and the lawyers are not going to say it, right? So we heard exactly what's going on. They did not even investigate the admissibility of the evidence that was presented and the cross-examination. How on earth are you going to basically give a judgment on the basis where there is a concern? What is embedded in the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, I think within section 37, 36, 35, which talks about fair hearing. That's not a fair hearing. When there is a procedural error, there is no fair hearing. So how can you pass a judgment on the basis of that? Just because you don't like the guy. Judge Omotoshe is biased, and a biased judge needs to stand recusal. He needs to recuse himself. Now, if appeal court granted Nnamdi Kanu that, Nnamdi Kanu probably is going to establish for the judge, he will use the higher court to push the judge to give a verdict or judge the issue of jurisdiction, to entertain the issue of jurisdiction better, that will be a better terminology, to entertain the issue of jurisdiction and the issue of written and unwritten laws, and they also to scrutinize the evidence presented, whether or not it is admissible before the judge. Because I don't think he did those, he didn't. It's not like I don't think. I know he didn't go through those process. So, on the basis of procedural error, the Supreme Court, the appeal court is going to grant the request of Nnamdi Kanu to stall the judgment and stay execution. In that regard, Nnamdi Kanu will still, they will continue to go to court. Then the Omotosha have to do the right thing. He has no choice. So now, why did I say that they are not going to rule on the 20th of November, 2025? Let me show you. Because these people are just a group of people. I don't know where they bring them from. Because if you see the way they behave, how can a judge know that tomorrow is a holiday? And a judge will fix a court date the same day, which is a holiday. Does it mean that the judge does not know the calendar or the court calendar? Let's see this news. Listen to this news. And then you will tell me whether or not we are going to see the hearing happening on the... Now, did you know what this news says? Let me read it. I am going to bring it back a little bit. It says, Nigeria court sets no, okay, no, not this one, this, one moment. Now watch this news. Now tell me whether or not there will be a judgment that will be handed on that day. For you to see Nigeria. When we call it zoo, they say we are insulting it. We're insulting her. Now let's read. Federal High Court begins Christmas vacation December 19th. Did you hear that? This news came in today. They begin Christmas vacation December 19th. The Federal High Court will on December 19th commence its Christmas vacation, the news agencies of Nigeria reports. The FHCS Director of Information, Dr. Catherine Christopher, in a statement on Monday in Abuja, said court sittings would resume in all judicial divisions on January 7, 2026. Did you see that? So there will be no judgment. Okay? Donald Trump's meeting is coming on the 20th. That's why there will be no judgment. The FHCS Director of Information, Dr. Catherine Christopher, on a statement on Monday, Abuja said that the court sitting will resume in all judicial division on the 7th of January 2026. In a statement titled Notice of 2025 Christmas Vacation and Roster for Vacation Judges, she said this was in accordance with a circular duly signed by the Chief Judge, Justice John Shoho. It reads, the Federal High Court hereby issued notice of its 2025 Christmas vacation as well as the approved roster of vacation judges. The court will commence its Christmas vacation for the year 2025 on December 19. These vacation schedule is issued pursuant to Order 46 Rule 4C of the Federal High Court Civil Procedure Rule 2019 as amended. Now, ask yourself a question. A learned judge fixed a day of judgment. Just think about it. A learned judge, competent judge, knows that this was amended in 20 words. I think in 2019, as I read, it's amended in 2019. Yes, you as a learned judge in 2025, you fixed a court hearing on the 20th of November, knowing that the Christmas vacation proceeds on the 19th of November. Every court has its own calendar. Before any event is fixed inside a courtroom, a calendar must be checked before anything is supposed to be fixed inside a courtroom. But did they do that? For you to know that that judge undermines the proceedings and the due diligence, that is the reason why the judge fixed a hearing date on the 20th when the court is not going to stand, when they are going on vacation. This is not the first time he did that. This has not been the first or second time they have done this on the case of Nnamdi Kanu. They do that whenever they want, however they want. Well, I call it delay strategy because they know that this case is just nonsense. That is what it is. I don't have a better word for it. This is where we're going to leave it. But what I can tell you is that their delay strategies and everything they are doing isn't going to help them to jail Nnamdi Kanu because Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime. Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime known to any law, internationally, locally, and otherwise. Has not committed any crime. So, however it is, I am going to leave it here, guys. Share the video, like the video, comment until we meet again. Bye for now.